Good morning, friends on live stream. It's very, very good to be here. It's very, very good to have you here, whether you're watching this morning as it's happening or anytime throughout the week or in the coming months. Our archives are on Facebook, and we have some of them, and we're going to continue to have more on YouTube. So if you are experiencing a level of awareness that you might not have had before, if you're experiencing a type of awakening that you haven't had before, if you're experiencing a level of peace or understanding that you haven't had before, a level of love that you haven't experienced before, please let us know. We would love to know through your comments, through your likes, whether you're experiencing or how you're experiencing your transformation. And so good morning to everyone here. It is such a thrill to be here on a Sunday morning to recognize that we represent Unity of San Luis Obispo, which is an inclusive spiritual community, emphasizing the light, life, and wholeness within all people. And so this is very, very exciting. What makes something exciting? Something becomes exciting when it's out of the norm, out of the everyday, right? Something is different or something is new. And there's a sense of activity in our bodies, in our minds. We take a look at something that is either promised or something that is different from what we do every day, and we look forward to it with an anticipation. We know that we're going to experience something wonderful. That is exactly my dream for everyone who comes to Unity of San Luis Obispo. In my lifetime, I have experienced many instances where I have felt, well, I can't get excited about this. How can I learn something from that? How can I understand what's going on from this person? How is this book going to help me? And because I've had that attitude, which is not uncommon, would you say?
No.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. We cut ourselves off from any possible enlightenment that we might experience. And so we look at some of the great masters who have defined a heightened state of consciousness and excitement. Some would call it spirituality. And what have they told us over and over and over again? They have asked us to look here, right within us and around us, for the excitement or the difference or the heightened state that we seek. When Jesus was asked why he was washing the feet of people who were assumed to be commoners, he said, "If you do it to the least of these, you do it unto me." What does that mean? It means there is no one that is less than the Messiah. No one. No one is less than that. This heightened awareness that we seek within a few or in something outside of ourselves or something greater or something more powerful than we think we are. For me, it's kind of a myth. Because what we're seeking, if we look again at the great mystics from all over the world, throughout history, we will hear them say, what you seek is within you. What you're looking for is in your own backyard. You experience your spirituality in your breathing, in your being present in this moment, in your being able to capture and recognize the Spirit of God everywhere. Not just somewhere out there. For many, many years, I have heard that message. And because as I was growing up, I wasn't particularly attached to any specific denomination as the way to my enlightenment. I didn't have to unlearn a lot of things about seeking it only here or only there, or only if you use these incantations, or only if you light these candles, or only if you get the right channel, you know, from somewhere outside. I always felt a deep connection to the idea that the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God is within you or in the midst of you. It's not here. It's not there. Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, that's a paradox. It's everywhere. But when I say it's not here or it's not there, what I mean to say is that it isn't in a place different from the place we're in. Again, there is one universal, omnipresent force, a source of all good, a source of creative intention, life eternal, love unconditional, wisdom omnipresent. It is everywhere, that one source of light, life, and intelligence, and we call that God. So the first understanding of the difference between traditional religious discipline and our mystical understanding of the nature of spirit is that it is everywhere. It is the only power, the only creative spirit. And as it engages in self-contemplation, we appear, each of us, the life, substance, and intelligence of spirit. Each of us, not, as our wonderful Unity teacher Eric Butterworth reminds us, not like, we are not to God like the raisin in the bun. We are to God like the drop of water to the ocean. And so the question becomes, where are we looking to be spiritual? So the scenario goes throughout the years, there's a great master throughout any culture. This is my archetypical interpretation of the way things work in the world of religion. A great master comes along and says, you know, it's right here. It's all inside of you. It's all within you. And we say, oh my God, that is the best news I have ever heard. Can I worship you? And that's it. And it's gone downhill since then. Imagine my life in the ministry in field ministry over the last 25 years. I tell them, it's here and now. You want an excitement, a spiritual experience, generate it. That's where it is. Turn the light on. Go bring your plate to the buffet. And I finished the message, and many, many people throughout the years have, not all, thank God, many people throughout the years have said, where's the spirituality? That's not spiritual, that's psychological, or that's philosophical, that's not spiritual. Well, what is spiritual? Oh, something different, something that I have to pay a lot of money for, something that's otherworldly. And so when I get to the white-robed person, the guru with the rose, and they say it's all within you, we say, can I worship you? You know, you must know. So tell me. And then they say again, it's within you. Well, how do I find it? Because I don't really feel anything. Okay. And I have been, excuse me, thinking about this and contemplating this for all my years in the ministry. How after hundreds and thousands of years of being indoctrinated to believe in a duality of here I am in the physical world and there is God somewhere else, and I have to get there in order to experience it. I have to go to different places, I have to go to the top of a mountain and see the Grand Lama, and I have to do this and I have to do that. And then when I get there, what do they say? It's all within you. Wow, I never heard that before. That was worth the $12,000 and the calluses on my feet. That was great. Thank you so much. And then we come back down off the mountain, and it's the same life as always. Nothing has changed. It breaks my heart, to be perfectly honest with you. It breaks my heart because for more than 25 years in field ministry, which again, as I mentioned, is somewhat different from teaching in the ministerial program where everybody is really desperate to get the message because they're changing life careers and they have to go on and teach this stuff, and so they're all awake and open and grateful. But still, there is that traditional belief that the messenger is to be worshipped because he or she has something different, something special. The second problem is that the expectation of many of the congregants who have given me feedback is, it didn't happen for me. I didn't get that high. I didn't get that spiritual feeling. To which I respond, you are a spiritual feeling. You didn't get excited. You were waiting for me to excite you. You were waiting for me to make it happen for you. So to people who say, well, gee, Leona, you didn't really feed me, I say, it's a buffet. Bring your plate. Okay, one more experience. When I was in graduate school, many years ago, I came across a professor who I was to study with for 2 years of the program. And the course that he taught was Old Testament history and theology. Well, he was a sweet man, not all that sophisticated, but he meant well. Unfortunately, the first night of the class, he inadvertently popped up with a Jewish remark that was really devastating. It was very hurtful. I didn't know what to do with myself because so many years ago, as I say, I was not raised in a particularly theological environment, but it certainly was in an environment that honors diversity and an environment that was fraught with discrimination, something like what's happening today. You never know when somebody is going to find what you've done reprehensible and do away with you, and it's frightening and it's extremely sad. But I had a very social and very universal attitude about people and life. It wasn't necessarily, as I say, theological or denominational. But here he made this Jewish remark, and I thought, first of all, I was frustrated that I had gotten put in that position again to have to make the choice as to whether I was really going to let it go and just not say anything about it, or whether I was going to say something. And if I were going to say something, do I do it in front of him, in front of the class? Well, the people in the class laughed when he made the remark. Not funny to me. It was years before political correctness became fashionable. And I knew he didn't know what he was doing, but that didn't stop the fact that it was done. I went to the bathroom, cried for about 5 minutes, came back, and I decided to speak up. And I did. I started with, perhaps you don't realize this, but that remark contains an idiomatic phrase that is very insulting to Jews. He woke up immediately. He said, really? I meant to say something else. And I said, no, I realize that. But now my question is, why did people in the class laugh? You know, everyone in that room was studying to be a minister. Some had already been ordained and were studying the theology. Why would a spokesperson for the presence of spirit demean or laugh at or cast aside a certain denomination? Why would we think that was part of our mission, or that it was okay? Perhaps we haven't really owned our responsibility. But please let me know how that works for you, and if you do think that it works for you. So the discussion was enlightening in many ways. It helped me understand that, no, they didn't realize it was insulting. And again, one wonders, you know, and the test of that is, if someone said that about me, would I think it was amusing? You know, I mean, if someone says something about someone else and they get upset about it, it's like, well, gee, why are you upset? But if someone makes a similar remark about me, then I understand. You know, so we each have sensitive points in that area. Anyway, the bottom line there was, I went to the Dean of Education after the discussion and I said, I don't know, I just don't feel connected to this professor. I would like to take Old Testament history and theology for 2 years as an independent study. And he said, well, I don't think we can do that. That's a required, I mean, it's just not something that we can change in the realm of, you know, curriculum and education. But he said, I would suggest to you that you do everything you can to find value in that experience. Because otherwise, if I can't grant your wish, the next 2 years are going to be hell for you, aren't they? I said, well, yeah. And I heard what he said. What I didn't know until a long time later was that he also went to the instructor, and he went to the other students, and he said, what did you think you were doing when that's not professional, that's not compassionate, that's not, and I need you to make a change. So he gave us both an opportunity of a lifetime. The next time I walked into that class, I prepared myself. I said, I have to be there. And I choose to be there with an open mind and find spirit in this experience, and to know that I am being taught what I need to know in order to go out and teach. And that's how I went in to every class for the next 2 years, 3 times a week, 3 hours a night. And I ended up really loving the guy. I mean, he was just adorable. I mean, still somewhat innocent, but totally open and receptive and responsive to learning and to loving and to teaching. And so part of my credo became, at that moment, in order to have a transcendent experience, meaning transcending a certain level of consciousness, not transcending your body or transcending your environment. In order to have a transcendent experience, we have to generate it within us. Life changes. So, as I've said, people have come to me throughout the years. You didn't feed me. I say, look, when my child was a baby, I fed him because he hadn't developed his muscles to eat on his own. However, I knew that he was going to be able to eat on his own. And the minute he was, I didn't have to feed him. he could generate his own experience with food. When I come to you on a Sunday morning, I come knowing who you are. You are spiritual beings. I can't give you spirituality. I can't give you, I could give you a dramatic, enlightening, shocking experience. I could do that, you know, people with the light shows and all of that stuff. But I need to remind you that that's an enlightening experience. That is a compassionate and expanded experience on a variety of levels, but it can't be a spiritual experience because you are spiritual. See, you are spiritual. I can't give you a spiritual experience. I wouldn't want to. I respect you too much to not believe that you have it. Well, does that sound kind of ordinary? Well, that's not spiritual, that's psychological. Heck yeah. We have a brain, we have a mind, we have feelings, all of which are untamed and untrained and always looking out here. We have thousands and thousands of years of looking out there, never finding it. And at the end of the story, Dorothy clicks her heels 3 times. She says, home is where you are, you know. But she has to go through the whole hero's journey first, which is why I talk about that a lot, the hero's journey, especially the venturing, the experiences, and the return. It's got to be a return. It's a boomerang thing. If you go out seeking a spiritual experience, you will find yourself back here because that's where it started, that's where it ends, that's where it is. I assume that you know that. Do you want a heartwarming experience? I can try for that, but that won't necessarily be a spiritual experience. The spiritual experience is when you come in, when I come in, knowing that I am going to receive a blessing. That's the work. And it doesn't really matter how it comes or from whom it comes, but to generate, to claim the awareness of being a spiritual being in a spiritual universe, having a spiritual experience, well, having a human experience, that's it. We're a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe, having a human experience. We need to start out with the awareness that we are what we're looking for. Now, why am I here? As a New Thought minister, as opposed to a Catholic priest or a Methodist minister or any other type of traditional minister. I am here to help you awaken to that reality through psychological awareness of how to discipline our minds, what we are willing to release, the fact that we have the ability to do that. All of those things are psychological. The philosophy, the perennial philosophy we talk about, the origins and the different cultures and the various people who are saying the same things throughout the years. It's here, right here, in whatever experience we're having. You want to look for excitement? That's fine, but it's not going to be particularly spiritual. I mean, that's not where the experience is. I love exciting experiences, happy, exciting experiences. But I will identify it as an exciting experience, not as a spiritual experience. Because, you see, here's the danger with that, and here's why I have a lot of compassion for the people that are in this work. Even though we know that the Spirit of God is within us. We get it. That's why we're not someplace else. We're here in the New Thought movement and the perennial philosophy. We get where the truth is. However, we're ensconced in habit patterns that cause us to have to go away from that truth in order to find it. I would like to hold the light that says, see that light? That's within you. Psychologically, philosophically, when you go away from that or fall asleep to that, it's like it didn't happen. we don't feel connected. We don't feel spiritual. We're looking for a connection. We say to other people, you complete me. We say to teachers, can I worship you? Because of what they wear, because of what they look like, because of a particular tone. Having a quiet tone or wearing a white robe doesn't make you spiritual. You were spiritual before you got dressed. See what I'm saying? That's just plain simple to me. And yet, my dearest wish would be for each of us to come to wherever we go, to feel our connection with Spirit, come in with the understanding that no one, I mean, even if I gave the most boring lesson in the world, that could not and should not stop you from finding a kernel, a nugget, a piece of value, the little mustard seed, whatever metaphor you're looking for. Jesus said the kingdom of God is like the tiniest mustard seed, and it's very, very small to look at, but it grows into the greatest tree. I know. But if we look at the seed and we say, that's not the tree. Oh, there's a tree. I'm going to go down. We go over to the tree, and the tree says, listen, it's within you. No, literally, it's within you. Just, give it time, focus on the goal that you want to. And the mustard seed says, can I worship you? And we're back to that again. We're back to that again. My last sad experience happened many, many years ago. It's not that it doesn't happen every day, but this happened many years ago. When I was on the faculty at Unity Village, we were sitting there at about 8 o'clock in the morning before the classes started. We always prayed the daily word. And one of the faculty members came in just as we were about to start. He said, just stop the action. I have the most incredible news. This was amazing. I only paid $500 for a session with this amazing person who was actually being channeled. He was 30,000 years old, and this woman is channeling him, and he's got the most amazing wisdom. And it's like, oh my God, really? What did she say? What did they say? He said, wait till you hear this. He said, it's all within you. Can I pay you more money? Because I needed that. That gave me a spiritual experience. No, you were spiritual when you came in there. That awakened you. That's not the same as having, so let's, I love emotional experiences. I love uplifting experiences. I love humorous experiences. I love ceremonies. I enjoy all of those things. But you know what? Bottom line, that's not what we need. What we need is to see those things from a spiritual perspective and not even discuss the idea of becoming more spiritual. That is so self-defeating. It's sad. It's prevalent. And my question is, what does our perception of religion do to us to cause the world to look like this right now? Why isn't it working any better? Is it because no one can give it to us? Is it because we can't be fed? We have to generate it from within? We have to have the self-confidence and the self-esteem to understand that we have it within us. And that's why the psychology and the philosophy and the rational thinking and the compassionate emotional intelligence and all of that stuff is a part of the training that we use to remember what we started out with. That's it. We need tools. I have tools. I have a lot of tools. I've spent my life looking for tools because I knew, as a student of philosophy, that the same message comes from everyone. All of the great masters and mystics. The new covenant, Jeremiah 31. No one can tell you where God is, because this has been a very common thread that's run throughout life. We're here on earth. God is up there. We have to find a way to be blessed by God. Then we won't have floods and famine and all of the diseases. We've got to make God love us. Well, let's put a hold on that while we say, that's something we need to start out with. That's not the end. That's the beginning. For us to take the responsibility of recognizing spirit in all things, as we alluded to last week when we talked about Martin Buber's philosophy of I and thou. He was the one that ended up having a spiritual experience, not by his vertical relationship with God, but in the interaction of someone that needed his help, and the realization that when two or more are present, then we are able to generate the idea that we are looking into the face of God. And that's not a result. That is an informed and conscious and transformable action. Be ye transformed by the, be ye transformed by the, I know, the renewing of your mind, not by getting a ticket, to climb a mountain or going somewhere where God is. Oh, I love this place. We say it was so spiritual. For me, any place is spiritual when I bring my awareness of spirit in there. When I anticipate that because I am spiritual, I will have an enlightening and informative and emotional experience. Because it is within me, I have the power to generate that, and I don't have to look for it in a desperate ploy for approval by someone or something outside of us. Thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I realized that I needed to kind of explain my basic credo and come back to a place, a foundation, where if it's 2 people or 10 people, I believe that this is a message worth understanding and integrating. I see you as you are. I see you as you are. And it hurts when I don't recognize it and I try to find it and get it because I feel empty. And it hurts me to see people that I love, which would be everybody in a congregation, feeling that lost. If I could give it to you, wouldn't I? Yeah, you bet I would, especially me. I would go, to far and wide to go get it and bring it back. But I can't, because it doesn't work that way. You have plenty. You have more than enough. You are more than enough. Let's transform the world with our awareness of where the spirit is and how to find it. You with me?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew.